This LSU game is really intriguing. Line comes out. LSU is a 7-point favorite, which, I totally understand. I think LSU, they've struggled, but they're still a really good football team. They've had a couple of weeks to get ready for you now. Not of their own doing, obviously, the COVID stuff coming up in the Florida game, but they've had a couple of weeks to get ready for you now. It's at home, at night, at Tiger Stadium. Again, I know it's only 20% capacity, but it's going to be raucous. I mean, bottom line, they're going to those LSU people are going to show up. It's an intimidating environment, as we talked about. And again, this is a really interesting perspective because you were on the team that went to LSU in 2007. And I'm sure everybody remembers that game from the fake field goal. We all remember that, the trick play.
Mm-hmm.
And you played there. You guys played there in a 3:30 kickoff. So it wasn't a night game, thankfully. But just talk about the challenge that awaits South Carolina, because, again, South Carolina has been really close. I mean, we all think back to that 2012 LSU game where South Carolina, I think, was, second or third in the country. Went there the week after beating Georgia 35-7 and fell up just short. And again, really tough place to play. Like, I'm not knocking them or holding it against them. That is an extremely tough place to play. But just talk about, again, you've been there. You've been in that stadium. Talk about the challenge that awaits South Carolina simply just going on the road and playing in Death Valley.
I mean, it's hard to go on the road anyway, just because you're flying, you're staying in hotels. You got to keep your focus, kind of about you. I mean, it's not like they're not going to be out like partying in Baton Rouge or anything like that. But at the same time, like looking at it from, 2007, 2012, the 20% capacity is, 20% capacity, depending on, if they've got Texas A&M standards or not. That's huge in our favor. And it may be raucous, it may be loud, but it's not going to be like it would be in Tiger Stadium at night. The best thing I could say about the environment. So when I first started working, I was in training with a guy who went to LSU, and he described it absolutely perfectly. He said, the drunkest that you have ever been in your entire life is a Tuesday for most LSU students. So I think that's kind of what you're walking into there.
The rowdiest atmosphere you could think of. I'll ask you specifically about the game, not just, again, the atmosphere or whatever. You're facing the defending national champs. I mean, that's a hell of an opportunity. You have an opportunity to defeat the defending national champions. And again, they're a 7-point favorite. And I know they lost a lot. Still have a lot of talent, though. Miles Brennan's a very capable quarterback. Derek Stingley on the defensive side is one of the best defensive backs in the country. I think the individual matchups on the outside are going to be a lot of fun to watch. And, my question for South Carolina going in this game, Alex, is more so around the offensive side of the ball, because really what scares me, again, and we've seen it, if LSU can take Shi Smith away, and listen, again, no disrespect to J.C. Horn, Derek Stingley is one of the best defensive backs in the entire country. I mean, he is a legitimate, bona fide stud, first-round draft pick, all that stuff. If they're able to take away Shi Smith, what is South Carolina's second punch? What is their other go-to? And I wonder offensively what they'll be able to do. What's really interesting about this game, though, Alex, is I said last year, again, relating it back to that Georgia upset, I said after last year, because you had Florida right after and then Tennessee. And I said, if you lose the next two, you sort of undo everything you did in Athens. Like, you need to be able to at least win one of the next two. You need to be able to translate this win into positive momentum, into getting more wins. And again, we all know what happened with Florida, with the refs, whatever, and then Tennessee, you just get blasted on the road. I don't think if you lose to LSU necessarily, it really, takes away from beating. I mean, this is going to be a really tough game, as we know, but what are you looking for specifically from this football team? And again, it's another big-time opportunity, a nationally televised game. You're the underdog yet again, but certainly this is not the LSU team of last year. I certainly do look at this as a toss-up game. But what are a few things? Are there anything specifically you're looking for from the Gamecocks in this game in Baton Rouge?
Well, I mean, if just right off the bat, like if we can consistently run the ball with Kevin Harris, that really takes a ton of the pressure off of Shi Smith and allows you to kind of spread some of that around, because you're not leaving yourself in third and manageable. And that really opens up the playbook tremendously and kind of gives you a lot more confidence. If you find yourself behind the sticks, so hypothetically, if we're not able to generate any kind of ground game and we find ourselves in a lot of 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10s, that's where that's going to rear its ugly head. So I think, from a game planning perspective, I think the entire goal of it would be to get yourself in 3rd and 5 or better. most of the time. And that really opens everything up to where you can run reverses with Dak, or you can hit Nick Muse over the middle for a quick hitter, and you're not having to go down the field all the time to, Xavier Legette, Josh Van, and Shi Smith, where they can take one of those, where they can take your main one away from you. So I would tell you that's going to be more than likely the goal this week in practice. And, based on what we've seen through the first 4 weeks of the season, I think that's going to 100% be what the game plan is.